Hey everyone, we're the Violet Reality. I'm Casey Rain.
I'm Kim Camellia, and we have something new for you in store.
Welcome to the Purple Request Show, episode 1.
Yes.
As you guys know, it is June the 7th today.
Yes.
Hashtag Prince Day.
Happy birthday, Prince!
Happy birthday, Prince.
We love
Prince's
you.
birthday, now officially known as Prince Day.
Yes.
So Purple fan base is united everywhere in sharing love and spreading Prince's message of positivity and love for one another.
Yes.
And just appreciating him, appreciating everything that he gave to us, during his time here on Earth, and everything that he still continues to give us, from the afterworld or wherever. And yeah, that's what we're doing. So you know that we couldn't let this day pass without doing something.
No.
Well, we're doing many things, but
Yes.
specifically a video, something. So we decided what better day than to launch our brand new series, The Purple Request Show.
Yeah, so this is our new show.
Yep.
And we have taken some questions for you over the last couple of months. And so we picked 4 questions out of these. And we are going to talk about the subject. So the requests that you guys have. And we're going to start off with the first one now.
Exactly. Just before we get into it, I want to say we're going to be doing this show twice a month.
Yeah.
And what we want you to do, what we want you guys to do, is leave your comments under this episode for the next episode that we do of the request show. So drop all the comments, all the things that you want us to talk about, all your requests, and that's what we'll talk about in the next episode of the Purple Request Show. So let's get on with the first episode, which is this one, and the very first question. Who's it from?
Actor Oswald on Twitter.
Hey, Oswald! Woo!
So he had a question about Under the Cherry Moon, and you know that in our last tweet we talked a lot about Under the Cherry Moon because we had such amazing talks about Under the Cherry Moon at the conference, which is this beautiful, beautiful artwork. Yeah, we've got the Blu-ray, guys.
And the DVD.
Yes.
And the VHS.
Yeah.
Of course.
So his question was, is there a meaning behind Under the Cherry Moon's concept?
So I think there is. I think there's actually lots of meanings, but in typical Prince style, he never really spelled out the specific meaning of anything that he did. I mean, whether it's Purple Rain or like any other song, everything is always open to interpretation, and that's one of the most amazing things about Prince. And so that's the same with Under the Cherry Moon. And the interesting thing about Under the Cherry Moon and the meaning behind it is that there's different versions of both the beginning and the end scene. So there's a completely different opening scene, which leaked a few months ago. You can see it on our Facebook page. And there's a completely different ending that hasn't leaked, but we know in the alternate ending, Christopher Tracy survived. So, which kind of basically changes the entire film.
It does.
I think, one thing that's pretty obvious, regardless of which ending there is that the story is about redemption. So Christopher Tracy is, in the words of Mrs. Wellington at the beginning of the movie, a bad boy named Christopher Tracy. He's very much a bad boy. He's a gigolo. He uses women for money, etc., etc., etc.
And then he goes to pursue this really rich woman, Mary Sharon. First of all, just to get her money of her and to sleep with her and to get her to pay for it. But then he falls in love with her, really deeply, madly in love.
Exactly. So it's a story about the power of love, basically, how people can redeem their characters through, something as pure and as beautiful as love.
Yes.
That, I would say, is the main message of Under the Cherry Moon. Obviously, there's several different layers of things going on. There's, messages about what kind of world Prince imagined in the future, his kind of, ideal world in terms of scenery. He was obviously very into, the way that France looked in a specific, time period. There's things that you can take on it about, blackness in a modern world and what that means in a certain society compared to other societies. There's lots of different meanings and messages that you can take from Under the Cherry Moon. One of the interesting things that we talked about in the conference with D'Angela Duff, who gave a talk on it, was Under the Cherry Moon being Prince at his most authentic self.
Yes.
So in that sense, the kid is less representative of Prince as a person compared to Christopher Tracy, who is more representative of Prince as a person, kind of more friendly and approachable,
and funny and fun-loving.
Which is really interesting. And, there was this talk about whether Under the Cherry Moon was not successful because the public wanted more of the kid and they didn't want Christopher
Yeah,
Tracy,
maybe,
so.
Because they were maybe expecting like a follow-up to Purple Rain because it was that quick afterwards. But I think what's interesting about Prince is that he went completely the other way and he was like, no, I'm not going to make a follow-up to Purple Rain like that instant. I'm going to try something completely different, and that's what you see in the Cherry Moon. Probably one of the main reasons why it's in black and white as well.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Yep, that was our first question. So thank you, Oswald, for bringing that in.
Yeah. And tell us what you think about this subject and whether you have an answer to this question as well. Whether you want to start a discussion with us about it, you're more than welcome in our comments and also on our Facebook page because we'd love to hear your opinions on these things as well.
Exactly. Second question comes in from Peace and Be Wild on Twitter.
Yes.
We see you. And this question is, what is your guys' favourite Prince album and favourite era? So I'll let Kim start off with that. What a question.
I know. Well, first of all, there is not an album that I do not like. There's like a lot of albums that I love. There's some that I like a little less, but I like all of them. So some of my favorite albums are Love Sexy, I love Sign of the Times, Diamonds and Pearls. I also like Love Symbol because that has grown on me recently. But my most favorite Prince album is this one right here. It's Emancipation. And so yeah, you would say that that's quite an interesting choice because it's probably not a lot of people's most favorite Prince album, but my story behind that is that I would always listen to the more like calming disc of this album where you have like the more slow songs, like let me see what songs are on here again. Yeah, so you have the more slow songs like The Holy River, and you've got The Love We Make, and you've got these kind of songs. I would always put on this CD or all of the CDs when I was studying back in the days, and it would always really calm me down, and so I always loved the album. And then you've got the jams as well, like Joint to Joint, and you've got a Gem of the Year, of course. Gem of the Year, Gem of the Year was a tour as well, so yeah.
I really like Somebody.
Yeah, me too.
And In This Bed I Scream.
Yes.
And Face
Sex
Down.
in the Summer as well.
Face
Love
Down.
it. Yeah.
So many good jams on
I
Emancipation.
know, yeah. So yeah, Emancipation is definitely my most favorite Prince album. And then for favorite Prince era, well, I think you have seen a lot of my tweets and Instagram posts and Facebook posts about the Graffiti Bridge era. Putting it out to Sean here because I claimed that, Miss Spooky Electric on Twitter. My era. So yeah, my favorite era is the Graffiti Bridge era because I just love the styling, love the hair, love the big clothes and the colors that he was using during that era. And also, that kind of stuff, those kind of clothes. And also, I've grown to love the Love Symbol era clothing-wise as well because his hair is just beautiful and like the styling and the colors again.
Typhoon.
I know, his hair is like woo. So yeah, I just I love all Prince eras, but those two are my main favorite eras just because I just love his fashion sense in these eras. And the Graffiti Bridge era, I mean, come on, that deserves its own fan club. So what about you, Casey?
So I would say unlike a lot of people, or maybe more Prince fans do this compared to people in general, but I like to listen to albums as a whole. So in that sense, I really like albums that are not ridiculously long and are also thematically very similar. So the album is telling a story, and all the tracks kind of they fit together, and the sequencing works really well and that kind of stuff. So in that sense, I would say one of my favorite albums is Dirty Mind. Because it flows just beautifully from start to finish. All the tracks kind of have the same kind of vibe, and they take you back to that era and production style, and even the artwork, kind of the black and white kind of lo-fi stuff fits with the kind of lo-fi vibe of the album itself. It's very it's almost like punk. It's got like a very punk vibe to it, and kind of early new wave, new romantic kind of vibe as well. I also really love the Come album for the exact same reason. And we did a podcast all about the Come album, so you should check that out.
With
Transatlantic Rebels. If you haven't listened to that, and we talked for 2 hours about how much we love the Come album.
Yes, we
did. Come to me is another album that just flows amazingly well from start to finish. So I would say that's one of my favorite albums as well. And then also Sign of the Times. I would say is probably my most favorite album. And the reason I love Sign of the Times so much is it flows really well even when it shouldn't, because there's so many tracks that sound completely different from each other. So you've got really minimal stuff like the title track. Then you've got sort of really layered stuff like I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man and Adore and things like that. But nothing sounds out of place. And I don't think any other artist could pull that off, where they've got such a wide variety of different styles on one album, and yet it doesn't just sound like all like, you know, a big jumble of things thrown together. It actually still flows and tells a story.
So true. You know, with that album, I always kind of felt like I was at a Prince concert, because I was like, oh, that goes really well. Like, that could as well be like a concert set list like that. I just love it. It's just amazing. Yeah.
And then I think, you know, Sign of the Times is his most ambitious album in terms of, you know, how far he was going with some of the material, trying to challenge the audience. You know, for someone who was, you know, a massive pop star, to be doing songs like If I Was Your Girlfriend, nobody else was able to do that.
No.
It's just a phenomenal album. And when you think about it in the context of where Prince was in his career at that time, that makes it even more amazing, because, you know, maybe with some artists, after sort of they've had their years of peak sales and whatever, they might start doing more challenging material like later on in their careers when it's just like their core fan base. Prince did this at the peak of his career.
He did,
That's the amazing thing about Sign of the Times.
It's so good. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I would say Sign of the Times is my number one favorite. As for eras, there's a bunch of different eras that I really like. I mean, Dirty Mind again. I think the visuals and the art and everything all works really well. And the tour and the clothing, it all fits so perfectly with that material. 1999, where you've got this sort of neon purple space alien making electro robo funk.
Yes.
You know, and everything about that era, the Time, Vanity 6 and a Triple Threat tour and all that kind of stuff, and that coinciding with, you know, Prince hitting it big on MTV and a new fan base coming in and stuff. It's really pure. It's just a really pure point where he did something artistically, but it also kind of crossed over and became massive at the same time. Like, that wasn't, like, they didn't know that was going to happen at that time when they made that album. Whereas I think, you know, as much as I love Purple Rain, they knew they had a massive audience. Prince knew he had a fucking huge audience at that point, and he was going to capitalize on it. And it doesn't take anything away from, you know, the art and how amazing it is, but there's something really pure about 1999 and not knowing that was about to happen. And I think, like, you wouldn't necessarily make a track like, you know, Something in the Water, I think, if you were thinking about, you know, trying to cross over deliberately and make this, you know, appeal to this huge massive audience.
That's very true. You know, if you could steal Prince's closet from any era and you would magically just fit into the closet, it would all be your size, like anyone, what closet would you want to steal? What era? Like, what would you want to wear? Which outfits?
Ooh. I'd probably say 1999.
Yeah, with the like massive coats and stuff and the glitter.
Maybe Sign of the Times, because it's really bohemian and hippie, and, you know, he wore denim for like the first time.
I know. I think I would want to steal Diamonds and Pearls and then the tour outfits, because I just love the suits. The suits will actually match.
I actually really like them. I really like the rave clothing as well.
Oh yes,
so like the pictures. If you've read Steve Park's book Picturing Prince, some of the pictures, like with Prince wearing like the big robes and like that one story where like he took Steve's like random floppy hat and like wore it, and just like all that stuff is just so cool to me.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. So
those are some of my favorite eras.
So for all of you guys, which closet would you want to steal? What era, like the clothing of what era? What would you want to wear? Or like, what's your favorite era and what are your favorite albums? Tell us in the comments below.
Let us know. I think we've spent enough time on that question.
Yes.
So thank you, Peace and Be Wild, for that question.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next question. So, next question is from one of our best and biggest supporters, Ashley from Twitter and Facebook. Ashley, you're awesome. Thank you so much for all the support.
Yes.
And we're happy to answer your question. You asked us, what are our favorite Prince videos?
Ooh. So I am very much into music videos because I used to do dancing, and so I'm all about choreographing videos and like choreography and like choreos and whatnot. I'm just trying to find the right word here. So yeah, I would say that Little Red Corvette is my most favorite video clip because it holds very fond memories for me. Because that was the first ever Prince video I saw on TV when I was a little toddler, and I saw this man in this massive glittery coat doing splits and twists and like running all over the stairs, and I was like, oh my god, who is this? I love this. I want that coat. Can I get a tiny version of that coat? So yeah, I just love Little Red Corvette, and that will always be my favorite one. But then some other video clips that I love are The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, because he had so many different women from like different ethnic backgrounds and all different walks of life, like someone getting married and like all those kinds of things. So that was just beautiful. And how he was with Mighty at the time, but he didn't just have Mighty in the video, he had loads and loads of women in the video. So that was like a tribute to women. That was like our song basically. And then Thieves in the Temple, because the choreography of the video is just phenomenal, and he's such a great dancer, and I think that Prince is not recognized enough for how much of a fantastic dancer he is, and in that video it really shows. Plus it has a Dirty Mind-ish like outfit where he's wearing like the stocking thigh-high kind of outfit again, and we hadn't seen that for a couple of years, so I think that is really cool. And then
I always thought that, in Thieves in the Temple, you've got that bit where the spotlight is on Prince in the alleyway and he starts dancing. I always thought that Michael kind of took that from Thieves in the Temple for the black or white video. I don't know what you guys think about that, because Thieves in the Temple predates black or white, and if you look at those alleyway spotlight scenes, there's kind of a lot of similarity in the tone and the lighting.
You mean
and
the Panther dance?
Yeah, exactly. There's a similarity there. Both awesome videos, of course.
Yes, they are. And so another video that I really love is Love to the Nines, because it's just like camera here, camera there, switch. Great outfits, Mighty dancing, just amazing. And then the bit where she's miming the whole name Arabia H jailbait, and then my favorite little bit of lyric from that, you can guess which one it is the one that comes after that. Sex symbol the many, but I really got a beautiful mind, so I love that. And then The Greatest Romance Ever Sold, which was obviously a song from The Rave into the Joy Fantastic album, and I just love how like dark and sensual that video clip is, because his interaction with the dancer that is like acting with him in this video is just amazing. I just love it. It's so sexy. Don't you agree?
I do.
And what about you? What are your favorite Prince music videos?
So I would say Dirty Mind again.
Yes.
I keep mentioning Dirty Mind. I love Dirty Mind, but just that lo-fi, just punk kind of style band, black and white imagery, and the graffiti on the kick drum saying Prince and all that stuff. I just love it. I love all that stuff. It's just really pure. And that's the kind of video that you make when you don't have a big budget, but you still want to do something really cool, and you want to show off your chops and your prowess, and it's just a really cool video.
It is.
That's definitely one of my favorites. Another one I would say, Party Man. I love Party Man. I love the Gemini character. I like when he walks in whistling the Arms of Orion, which is just hilarious to me. And then, he just commands like the whole room with his like multiple characters. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Dancing in that video is amazing as well.
It is absolutely fantastic video. That's definitely one of my favorites. That's kind of Prince coming into the 90s. It's so 90s to me, even though it was like at the end of the 80s. It's just the coloring of it and the vibe. It just reminds me of just, obviously it's from Batman, and it reminds me of that sort of 90s comic book era of those early superhero movies that we got in the early to mid 90s and stuff like that. That's what it reminds me of, and I just love it. Another one I would say, The Holy River. That's one of my favorite videos.
Yeah.
Just the coloring is so beautiful on that video. I just really love it. The set and the coloring, and it just fits so perfectly with the song.
Yeah. I think that Prince always had such an eye for detail, and that's why like the coloring of his music videos was great. Like he matched his outfits like match with the scenery and the set that he was in, and it's just like really pleasing to watch, rather than like all over the place and too much colors and like too perfect almost. It was just really pleasing for the eyes, and it's just beautiful. It was like all of his music videos were like a whole.
Exactly. And the other one that I would say that I really love, and I distinctly remember the day it premiered and watching it, is the Ti Amo Corazon video from 3121. Now, coming off the back of Musicology, everyone was wondering what Prince was going to do next. It was a really kind of interesting time to be a fan, because Musicology had been his sort of big commercial comeback, After a few years of doing under the radar things and MPGMC and direct to fan stuff, he'd made his big splash at the Grammys of Musicology and the huge tour, and then he kind of went silent for a little bit longer than we were used to, in the sense that there was no album that came out in 2005. There was the charity single for SST, but there was no new album in 2005. And then right at the end of 2005, coming into the beginning of 2006, we got what would be the first video and track from 3121, which was Ti Amo Corazon. Now, I have to confess, I wasn't massively enthralled with the song the first time I heard it, because I was a little bit worried that this was, setting a direction for the next album, that it was going to be quite, slow and jazzy and world music-y. But thankfully I was proved wrong. And 3121, which I went to the Universal Records premiere listening party for and heard 2 months before it came out, which was awesome. I'll tell you about that another time. But yeah, 3121 obviously was full of jams. But when Ti Amo Corazon did come out and the video came out, which was directed by Salma Hayek, one thing that struck me and that has always stayed with me is just how beautiful the cinematography of the Ti Amo Corazon video is. It's just, I think it was shot in Morocco, somewhere like that. I could be wrong, but I think it was that kind of area of the world. And it's just such a beautifully filmed and shot video. The direction of it, the set, the scenery, it's just absolutely phenomenal. And I think just in terms of the beauty and the quality and the direction of that video alone, it has to be up there as one of Prince's best videos.
It has that sensuality in The Greatest Romance as well, but this is shot on a way better camera because it's a little later on, and it's just beautiful.
Now, one thing that I think is really cool is that Prince and Sam Jennings and Afshin Jahidi, his photographer, actually were planning to put out a Ti Amo Corazon photo book, and they actually made prototypes of it, of which some of them, escaped into the world, and we know of at least one fan who has copy of it.
So cool.
And just the pictures of it just look absolutely phenomenal, in line with the stills from the video shoot. And I would love to get a copy of that. So yeah, that's another one of my most favorite Prince videos.
All right, then shall we move on to the very last question of this show?
Yes, we should.
Okay, so this is a question by Daniel Gutierrez. What a great last name that is. That's a really cool last name. And he has been asking us multiple times if we could talk about the song Peach.
Yes, Peach. So, as you guys know, Peach came out on the hits, the B-sides.
Yeah.
Woo! Which, this is my original copy. Look, it still has the price sticker from the 90s.
How much was it in the 90s?
It was $13.99 in the 90s when I purchased the hits, the B-sides. Now, Peach, of course, was a song that wasn't recorded specifically for this, but this was where it came out, and there was also a single release of it as well. And the great thing about Peach, or one of the things that I really like about it, is that it was recorded in London. So,
yes.
UK, represent, UK, stand up. And the great thing about Peach is that it's one of the best examples of what is known as the new power trio. Now, there's a contingency of Prince fans who just absolutely love it when he makes, just pure guitar rock music. There's all the fans love it, of course, but there's a certain group of fans who passionately love that side of Prince more so than anything else. And this would be a song that when they first heard it, they would have been like, yes, this one's for us. So it's the new power trio, which was Prince on guitar and vocals, of course, Michael B on drums, and Sonny T on bass. So just a pure rock and roll trio of drums, bass, guitar, and vocals. And that's the core group of musicians that Prince recorded this song with. One thing that is awesome is that Maite is also on backing vocals.
She is,
And there's one other female voice.
Yes. So there is a moan that keeps returning in the song, and that is not Maite, but it's someone who has the same name as me. It's Kim Basinger.
Yep, so that moan actually was sampled from the Scandalous Sex Suite that Prince recorded with Kim Basinger. And he sort of had a habit of reusing these sexual sounds and moans
Yes.
from women
I mean,
much
like,
later
you know,
on after he wasn't even with them anymore.
Yeah,
So,
it's like orgasm is vanity.
yep, 10
then-
years later.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that is kind of cheeky and funny of Prince.
Yes.
Peach is just one of those great songs that he sort of returned to quite often. I've certainly heard him, perform it live on multiple occasions, and it always brought the house down.
It's so
There's
good.
a great bootleg actually of Prince and the MPG sound checking Peach. There was a performance where they did it at I think it was an MTV Awards. I can't remember which year, but somewhere around that time, when it came out, they performed Peach at an MTV Awards ceremony, and there's a great bootleg of them just like sound checking it and rehearsing it over and over and over again. Just a fantastic song. We love Peach.
We do, yeah. And so that wraps up the very first episode of our new show, the
Purple Request Show. Now, as we said before, drop your requests and your comments and your questions in the comment section on this video.
And if
We're
you-
pretty much an open book. You can ask us
Yeah.
anything. Might not answer anything, but you can ask us
Yes.
anything.
And as well, like everything that we talked about in this video, like feel free to leave your comments on it. Feel free to agree with us, disagree, anything goes. Just have a nice little discussion in the comment section, and then we'll bring you another episode of these in. Is it 2 weeks?
Who knows? Soon.